You take your shirt off for this one? You won't be as hot.
It's true. But I'll also not have a shirt on.
A lot of people would like that.
I actually think not that many people would like that.
I think like in the world overall, there are a lot of people who would like.
There's probably at least 1 million who would enjoy me with no shirt.
Yeah.
Let's talk about private games.
Let's talk about private games. Private games, the proliferation.
Nuclear proliferation.
I don't think there's a nuclear in there.
Private game proliferation.
Proliferation. So we got private games in casinos. We have stream games, which are private by necessity. We have home games, which are private as well. So 3 different kind of tiers.
Let's talk about stream games. Why do you think stream games have become so popular? And do you think they're hurting the poker ecosystem?
I think they're doing more good than harm in general, because they're bringing more eyes to poker. You see these creator stream games, people who have these Twitch followings and YouTube followings who are now getting into poker. And to be honest, like the way to keep poker alive, the way to keep it going is to bring new blood into poker, to bring new money into poker, to make poker exciting again. You think back to the poker boom with Chris Moneymaker, that brought people like me into poker. During my classes in high school, I was playing poker on a laptop while we were supposed to be writing an essay or something.
Stream games have created both opportunities for people to make lots of money, but also represented poker as an entertainment industry rather than just a sort of economic niche for people to make money.
And that's a delineation, right? These streams are, which is why it's okay for them to be privatized, because they are entertainment. When you think of the average person who's watching these streams, they don't care about good poker. Like, they care about big pots, they care about fireworks, they care about drama, and watching someone like you or watching someone like me, yeah, that may be entertaining for, the same subtext of people that would want to see you with your shirt off. It's not going to be entertaining for the majority of people watching the stream. They don't care.
No, and I think it's important to understand what the incentives of a stream is, and it's to get eyeballs, right?
How do you generate eyeballs? Well, you have a following. You have a social media following, or you're extremely attractive, or you are the type of person who just punts off $300,000 every time you play. One of those 3 things, that's how to get a seat in these streams.
Right, and I am a sweet 0 for 3 on that list, so...
Net positive for the poker ecosystem, but what about some of the downsides of these stream games?
I think maybe it creates a false sense of what being a professional poker player is. If they think live streams are reality in poker, they are going to be sadly disappointed.
I think one other thing, if you are in a market where there are stream games and you are a professional poker player and you're trying to play as big as possible, every time there is a very, very good VIP who wants to play the biggest game in the market, it is only a matter of time before that player gets sucked up out of the public pool and plopped right into these private stream games, and then you just no longer play with that player.
I think people forget that streams, there's essentially, you have to feed the beast. Now, if you have a significantly losing player at 5,100, maybe he can lose 100,000, 200,000, but at some point he's going to hit his stop loss. It's going to stop being fun. He's just going to run out of money, or he's going to get good enough to no longer be that player. At that point, he needs to be replaced, or at least someone else somewhere along that journey has to be found, plucked, most likely from a public game, brought into that ecosystem, and that person is now no longer available in the public games, playing 2040 against a bunch of Europeans and people like Mark.
Plus, Mark.
I like how you lumped me in with the Europeans.
Yeah, borderline a Euro at this point.
Overall, good for the poker ecosystem. Probably for the regs like myself who are trying to put in some volume in the biggest game in the market, they do make your life a little bit tougher if you don't have a constant invite to the streams.
Plus, I think there's always going to be jealousy built up when you see someone like Mariano or Rampage, or someone who's built up that following, provides that value, and then gets to reap the rewards of it. And then they not only bring attention to the stream, but then they continue to bring value because they make vlogs about it, they make content about it, and that stuff continues to reinvest people's interest in that stream in the first place.
Next one.
So the next type of game that are available are the maybe less well understood home games.
Let's talk about this because you actually spent some time playing in some of the biggest private games in Los Angeles, actually you were pretty successful in these games. So first of all, like, how did you get an invite to these games, and what was it like?
The best way to describe like the home game scene is they have incredibly high walls that are very, very hard to get to. But if you can get past that first wall, all of the games are kind of nestled inside, and once you're in one, you can go from playing in 0 private games to potentially having opportunities to play 4, 5, maybe even 6 nights a week in games that are as big as 400, 800.
How big of games were you playing?
I think the smallest game I ever played that was private was 2550, but I played some $100,000 pots in a 2550 game. So I played a pretty wide range of different stakes, but the reality was it was much more about who was in the game than anything sort of related to, oh, this is a small 2550 game, or oh, this is just 51.
What's the biggest pot you played?
About $190,000.
Did you win or lose that pot?
I did win that pot. I won the first pot I ever played that was 100K. I lost bluff shoving the river over a bet. And when you do that, you have this sense of pride of the money didn't get to me because I didn't play scared, right? And then you go, wait, did I just punt in the biggest pot I've ever played? And it gave me huge confidence that I was not going to be at the mercy of the stakes. That was terrible. Oh my God.
What were some of the bad things that happened, or the bad things that could happen if you play private games? What were some of the bad things that happened to you?
I think the worst thing that happened to me was I lost a little bit of my humanity. And I think that sounds dramatic, but I think when you go in to play these games, you are selling a little bit of your soul to people who are generally not very nice, who treat other people in ways that clearly isn't okay, talk about topics that are clearly don't align with my belief system, and you let that stuff slide because the money that you can win in that game is enough to allow you to compromise your moral compass a little bit. That was hard for me, but clearly not so hard that I didn't show up and I didn't play. And I think you have to be able to look yourself in the mirror and say, why am I doing what I'm doing? Part 2 is the most obvious one, and the thing that they always warn you about in any private game, which is not getting paid or getting cheated. And I got paid.
Were there times you didn't get paid?
I did not get paid several times, and I am still owed money by 2 individuals.
Do you think you'll ever get that money?
No, probably not. Factor that into the EV that you are considering. I am playing in an incredibly good game where I know I have a very high win rate, but I also know that I'm not going to realize all of my win rate.
So overall, even with the money that you're still owed today, you came out way ahead.
I did come out way ahead in terms of the financials. The reality of those games is that you are always one comment, one action, one pot, one look away from being booted.
So you think I'd be good at it?
I think you would last many, many dozens of minutes before you were kicked out of your first game.
It's longer than that.
The thing we often forget is you can be really bad at poker, and borderline just be stupid at poker. But that, if you're playing for that amount of money, it's very unlikely that you are actually a stupid person. And that so many poker players get so caught up in that if you're good at poker, you are good at life or you're intelligent, and forget that most of those other people have won at life. Those people are not fools, and if you treat them like a fool because they are not strong poker players, you are doing them a disservice, and you don't really understand how we should evaluate success.
All right, we got 2 out of 3. We got stream games, private home games, and the third one is what we've seen happen a lot more, is the private games that are happening in casinos.
Right.
Let's talk about those.
I think this is maybe the most predatory version of all 3.
All right, look, we changed shirts.
I did. It's a nice shirt. Look at that.
Oh, what is that? Oh, Tupperware bandits. How do you feel about the ethics of this?
I think ethically, the bit that is most difficult for me to stomach is the insincere fakeness that I witnessed firsthand, where there'll be a reg who has a private game playing in a public game, and he will identify someone who is a fish. They say, hey, I really like how you play poker. This game isn't even good. You should come play in my game. And then his game is cultivated for him and maybe a few of his friends who are probably forcing to sell action to him. Poker should be as close to a level playing field as possible in a public casino game, and this is a way of siphoning off those people, because in a public arena, that reg wouldn't be the biggest winner.
Most of these action players, most of the VIPs, most of the fish in these games aren't coming from like some Rolodex that this rig has built up over. It's literally going into the casino where they play and then scooping them out of the public game and plunking them into now their own cultivated game, where now all of that money is just directly funneled to them, which is why I say sociopathic behavior.
Right.
So,
I mean, as soon as I can get myself a private game in the casino, I'm gonna 180 on this, but
Gethen's Guppies.
Gethen's Guppies.
Sum it up. Stream games, good. Private games.
Good opportunities, not necessarily good people, not necessarily something I would recommend to others.
And then private games within public casinos.
I think when you can't think of anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.